Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the fourth day of the Placement Bootcamp series presented to you by Communiqué IIT Kharagpur. I, Madhavi Dubey, along with Karthik Jain, shall host this panel discussion. Today, we will get insights on a rather important and versatile profile of core. We hope this discussion addresses most of your queries and provide you with all the relevant and essential details. In today's session, we have with us a very competent set of panelists from IIT Kharagpur. I take immense pleasure in introducing them to you. First, we have with us Mr. Anshuman Agrawal, who has been placed in Dr. Reddy. Anshuman, would you please like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Madhvi. Hello guys, I'm Anshuman. I graduated with a Btech degree in chemical engineering and currently placed in Dr. Reddy's as a technical trainee. My stint just started in August. My first stint started in August. So looking forward to hearing from you all as well, your queries, and we'll try to help you out in the best way possible.
Thank you, Anshuman. Next, we have Mr. Jogadenu Kalyanraman, placed in Qualcomm. Jogdenu, please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, myself Kalyan Raman. I have graduated from electrical engineering dual degree. I have been placed in Qualcomm and I started working from 2 months. Looking forward to share some fun time.
Thank you, Kalyan Raman. So, our final panelist for the discussion is Mr. Ashutosh Dash, who has been placed in Airbus. So, Ashutosh, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Madhuri. So I am Ashutosh Dash. I have graduated this year from Aerospace Department, dual degree, and I got placed in Airbus, and I have been working for around 1.5 months. So looking forward to clear your doubts regarding core placements and scenarios. Yeah.
Thank you, Ashutosh.
Before starting the discussion, I would like to congratulate the panelists for their achievements. We are looking forward to learning a lot from you. So starting the panel discussion, the first question is, there are a number of companies that come for recruitment and it might be difficult to find one that suits you best. So how one should prioritize a company? So Kalyan Raman, would you like to begin?
Yes, Karthik. Okay. So, hi everyone. There will be, when it comes to placements, there will be a spectrum of companies where the job descriptions don't just rely on single field. It will be a combination of fields for a particular job description. So, when you see a company in your CDC, first go through its job description and go through the company website to know what work they are doing. That will give you a preliminary idea of what is the type of work expected from this role. Second thing, try to prioritize a company based on your strengths and weaknesses, because since you must have been stayed like a minimum of 3 to 4 years in Kharagpur, you would have explored few fields in a particular department, so you would have some confidence in few fields or few topics. So first, filter it through them, and then secondly, contact seniors for knowing whether this profile does the same work which I'm thinking or not. Or you can even contact the people who are already placed there. That way you will get a secondary knowledge of that. Based on these two, you can prioritize a company. That's it, Karthik, you can continue.
That's great. Anshuman, would you go next?
Yeah, sure. Kalyan, I think summed it up pretty well. And just adding to it, maybe I'll say that yes, strengths are actually very important, and knowing what you exactly want to work on, like maybe what's your existing profile best suited for, that is also important. So let's say you're more of a hardcore, a technical person, or or let's say you also like, and in addition to that, you also like some managerial jobs as well. So in this profile, so being a student, so speaking from the perspective of my department, being a student of chemical or even let's say mechanical, you might even go for FMCG companies in this case, because there the profile is more of a techno managerial setup. And whereas in Dr. Reddy's kind of companies like Dr. Reddy's or some other companies which also come later like Vedanta or those things. So here it's more of a technical thing. Here your PORs or your previous managerial experience doesn't matter so much. Okay. Here your technical expertise is what they're looking for. So based on what you know exactly, what are your interests or your own preferences, it's important to prioritize it in that way.
Great. Ashutosh, would you like to add something to this?
Well, I think Kalyan and Anshuman has summed it up pretty well. There is nothing else to add at this point. But what I would like to say is, while prioritizing company, we know that core companies are lesser in number. So while you prioritize, don't just ignore the other companies that are not in your interest. And let's say that you have some 5 companies which are coming, which are aligning with your interest and aligning with your projects that you have done. But I would advise you guys not to skip the tests which are related to the companies which are remotely connected to your profile. So yeah, like give the technical test of, I mean, the screening ground test of every company that comes in the core and is in your field.
Thank you for your insights.
There is always a doubt about the selection procedure for the companies that offer placements, which makes this process a bit daunting for the students. Could you highlight a generalized selection procedure for the same? Anshuman, would you answer this first?
Sure. So, at least what I noticed, the kind of companies that I sat for during the placement, what I noticed was the selection procedure was very similar to what I faced in those companies during the CDC internship process as well. So, like for DRL, what the procedure looks like is you first have a CV shortlisting process where it's usually written in ERP that they see your CG. Okay, it's a very minimal limit that you have to cross. It's usually 6.5. After that, you have an online test. That test mainly focuses on aptitude, a bit of some psychometric questions, and in addition to that, a few basic chemical engineering questions and questions from organic chemistry, very basic things which you all can easily get through that. And it also contains some logical reasoning questions as well. So the test is not that challenging, and you get enough time to solve a decent amount of questions there. And after the test, what you have is the GD or the group discussion. Now the GD happens just before the interview. That is, Dr. Reddy's usually comes on day 2. So you'll have your interview on day 2, and just before the interview, you'll have your GD. And GD is probably the most important part of the Dr. Reddy selection process. The case problem that you get there is a technical problem statement, and knowing your basics of chemical engineering, the basic concepts or funda that is being taught to you in the class, that should be enough to get you through. There will be a group of 7 to 8 people with whom you'll be discussing the problem statement and solving each and every question like in 20 minutes or so. So what happens is, if you do really well in the GD, usually you'll get the interview call almost instantaneously the moment you finish the GD. And if you do well in the GD, your interview will be a much more smoother experience for you. That is guaranteed, and there is only one interview. So where you'll be asked a mixture of HR questions and some technical questions related to your CV or maybe core fundas as well. So yeah, that's how it works for Dr. Reddy's, and it's similar in the internship process as well. So that's what I noticed the general trend for all the companies.
Okay, that's nice. Ashutosh, please share your insights with us too.
Yeah, so as far as the selection process is concerned, I think the first process is crossing the CV, like the CGPA limit, which is pretty like it's like pretty bare minimum. We can say that we have to cross it. Like it's maximum. The company that went the last year, I saw it was 7. Yeah, so in core profile, they were cutting off CG cutoff was maximum 7. So after that, there will be a test round, as Anshuman said, and it comprises of in different in mechanical. I was mostly interested in mechanical and aerospace companies. So in that companies, I saw that they had a aptitude test, which was very basic aptitude, and then there is a tech related, like the core related questions. So if you are from mechanical, there will be from mechanical core, and if you're from aerospace, it will be comprising of aerodynamics and structures, whichever profile you choose. So depending upon your job profile, the technical round questions are set, and clearing them is like if you like mostly what I've seen is clearing them is easy if you are getting 60% or above correct. You'll get to know after the test that how have you done it. So after that, in interview, as far as I'm concerned, I only had the first interview, that was Airbus. It comes in day 0 or day 1. And so in my interview process, they had a 1.5 hour technical round, after which there was a 15 minutes HR interview. So in technical round, they will ask you pretty much from your CV if you have written projects and all. And what I have inquired from the colleagues that I'm working with, who are joining with me, that if you are not having something which is related to your course field in your CV, then they start asking you questions which are related to physics. Yeah, so it's like the hydrodynamics and fluid mechanics. So, basics questions, but they are a little bit tricky, and yeah, they're tricky to answer. So it's better if you have a project which is related to the field that you are giving an interview for. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your experience. Kalyan, would you like to say something about this?
Yeah, as Anshuman and Ashutosh has already mentioned, the basic one is that we need to there is a CGPA criteria. I exactly don't remember, but there are few companies which will keep a stringent CGPA cutoff as 8 or 9, and they won't say it out loud and say it as a CV short, CG short. I mean CV shortlist. Sorry, CV shortlisting, and then we'll have a one or two test. And coming to electrical and electronics related test, it will not be lengthy, but it will be tricky. So you will have a lot of questions to solve in limited time, so the speed is the one that matters. And few questions will be repetitive from previous years, so if you practice previous year question papers, that would be a good practice. And then there are few companies like Jaguar which will ask you to write an SOP, the statement of purpose. And there are few companies which will ask for group discussions, and mostly it will be based on the technical examination done. And then we'll have interview. In interview there will be minimum of one round, and for me in Qualcomm I had two technical rounds, each 1 hour. And similarly for Google I had three rounds, so three of them were technical, but they had a balance of both technical and a special type of interview called googliness, where they test your personal skills. And yeah, most probably all the core companies join these two, like whether it will be technical plus HR or both technical.
Okay, thank you very much.
Moving on to the next question. As the recruitment season begins, pressure builds up and everyone tries to find a suitable approach or strategy to cope with the same and get well prepared. So, panelists, I kindly request you to give some last moment tips. Ashutosh, please share your strategies with us.
Yeah, so I will be talking mostly about mech and aerospace related last month's preparation. So yeah, so you see that there are companies like automobile companies and like Jaguar, Bajaj, and all those things. And in aerospace, it's mostly Airbus, I guess. No other company in aerospace come to KGP for placement, at least in my year. And yeah, so there is one company, Honeywell, but it pretty much takes about it doesn't take core that much. I don't know this year scenario. So how to like prepare is basically they will be asking you all the basic questions that you have studied in your second, third year that you take. Uh, and the thing that helped me most in my preparation was concise notes. So even if you don't have, I'm pretty sure one of your batchmates would have some kind of notes which will be prepared in a very concise way. Just take it and go through it. So it really helps in clearing your basics. So the questions are all related to the basics. They don't go much above what is happening in industrial level. They will start from the basic questions. And yeah, so what about, yeah, so there is a book called Handbook for Gate Preparation for Mechanical. And also, yeah, you can refer to that book if you want to quickly go through the concepts of mechanical engineering, which are not taught much in, like, a few topics are missed out in classes. So yeah, my friends from mechanical branch, they did that. And the other thing is, if you are sitting for companies like Bajaj and JLR, anybody from if you are having a team card background, or any of your friend who is there in team card, they teach about stuffs related to the automobile in, and they write it down somewhere. So just refer from your friend, or if you're in team card, refer to that notes that were prepared. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, great. Anshuman, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. So yes, the class notes part is very important, as Ashutosh rightly mentioned. And yeah, if you have your own notes from the classes that you've attended in the past, then that is really helpful. That is going to benefit you a lot. मतलब उस time you'll feel कि हाँ ठीक है, this is tedious, I have to write all the notes, but long term में जाके it only benefits you. So yeah, that is good. In case you don't have the notes and you're not finding it from anyone else, for chemical engineering, there is a YouTube channel called Learn Chemi, Learn Learn Chem. So you can take a note of it if you want. It contains very small videos of basic funda that is taught in the various courses in our department. You can go through that channel. It should be pretty helpful, I believe. I too went through it slightly in some cases where I didn't have my notes up to date. So yeah, that is very helpful. And in addition to that, I heard from a few people what they exactly do is ask the basics, and then they slightly move to concepts that have been taught in your course relevant to the industry. So if I talk about Dr. Reddy's, what they may ask you is things about reactors, heat exchangers, okay, evaporators, distillation columns, those kind of things. These, because why I'm saying this, because I visited the industries, I've seen everything that is in there. And trust me, there are a lot of reactors, lots of dryers, filters. Okay, so these kind of things, maybe if you can just learn the basics about these things, we have courses relevant to these equipments. So if you can just learn the basics about these things, basics of fluid mechanics, heat transfer, mass transfer, thermodynamics. Okay, these are just the most important courses that that the basics of which you should be familiar with. Okay, so yeah, uh, notes maybe like keeping up. You can be a bit selective if you don't have a lot of time. And aside from this, maybe just before the day of your interview, if you have some time, visit the company's website, read a bit about the company. Okay, read a bit about some of the recent news about the company. Okay, or some of the products that the company makes, because that is good for brownie points actually. And sometimes what can happen is you can also align your HR answers with the values of the company, with the principles of the company. That only creates a good impression while during your interviews. So yeah, that is pretty helpful. So, and also maybe a thing or two about the market. Yeah, I mean those are just for the brownie points. So don't stress too much on that. That's it from my side.
That was quite informative. Kalyan, would you like to add something?
Oh, yes, Karthik. So, the thing with core of electrical and electronics is the preparation for test is quite different from that of an interview. For test, what they exactly want to know is how fast can you solve the problems. Like, uh, in a spectrum of different types of questions, how fast can you solve most of them? So in all tests that I have attended, they try to go to each corner of a course and give a tricky question about that in the test. So, there are some repetitive questions, but still they try to come up with new ideas to test your analytical knowledge of the course. And when it comes to interview, they will always build up from the fundamentals in the interview. So the preparation for test is make sure that you are well skilled to speed while answering. And for the last moment preparations, you can find few short video playlist in YouTube, like All About Electronics, or Nagendra sir from IIT Madras has some playlist about basic electrical, basic electronics. That would be a quick revision for analog, digital, and stuff. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Thank you, Kalyan.
So now we have our next question. What are some of the specific questions that the interviewer asks? And could you please highlight the main components of the interview and the ways to tackle them? Anshuman, would you like to begin this?
Sure. So, for the interviews, yeah, in case of Dr. Reddy's, I believe your performance in the GD matters in this case, from what I observed and what I heard from my seniors too. If you do well in the GD, your interview process gets slightly smoother, as I mentioned earlier too. They might not ask you so many core questions. Like maybe I don't know what's the reason, but maybe it could be like maybe they looked at your CGP and maybe if they're confident at the fact that you know your basics well, they might not ask you a lot of core questions. But whatever projects you have, whatever internships you went through before, it's always better to keep in your mind information about all the little things that you have mentioned in your CV. Whatever technical terms, phrases, whatever you mentioned, whatever you did, be very thorough with it. Okay, because they can ask you anything about it, and if you're not able to answer it, it creates a very bad impression. Okay, because that clearly shows a lack of effort and lack of work. Okay, so that won't be a very nice thing during the interview. And aside from that, like in case of DRL, from what I heard and what I experienced myself, it was mainly based around my internship and the project that I did from my second year till my BTP as well. So that was the main technical part about Dr. Reddy's. Aside from that, the HR questions, they were very basic, like why do you want to join the firm? And obviously the first thing starts with introducing yourself. That is the most basic thing that you should be prepared with. A small 1 minute intro would be nice. And yeah, why do you want to join this firm? Why the pharma industry in particular? Like, this can happen in other companies too. Why this industry in particular? uh, Aside from that, some questions for brownie points, like what is the most recent journal that you maybe studied or maybe referenced for your work in your projects, those kind of things. Or maybe what is the recent industrial news that you heard for chemical engineering, or have you used any product of Dr. Reddy's before, or do you know about any product? Those kind of things, those are just for brownie points. But yeah, focusing on your internships and projects would be the most important thing, I believe, as far as the technical things are concerned.
Okay, that was worth listening to. Kalyan, please share your insights.
Okay, as far as my experience with interviews is concerned, an interview will be it will be like a learning process. Like the interviewer will start with the most basic fundamental thing question possible, and he will start building it up as a story, and he will go deep into the concepts. Like take analog for an example. He will just start with the resistor network, or just RLC circuit, and he'll keep building. He will add op amps to it, he will add BJTs to it, and try to turn around the questions. So in interview, it's always starts from fundamentals, and it can go until much depth, but it will always remain about the fundamentals of your concepts. That is the first point. Second point, whenever to ace an interview is not to answer everything right, it's to show how your thought process is. So if you don't understand the interview, what the interviewer is asking, or if you don't understand the question, or you need some more clarity, you can ask help from interviewer. You can just stop, you can take a minute and then answer it. It is not the right answer that matters, it is the path which made you to fall into the right answer. And uh, yeah, and step three, most of the time, core related to electrical and electronics they will cover only technical interviews. When it comes to HR, they like in Google, there will be a Googliness round where they will ask about your personal characteristics. They may provide you some situations and ask you how would you tackle it, how would you handle it. And finally, as already Anshuman presented, that be honest in your CV, because whatever you have mentioned in the CV, you are answerable to that. And if you write something that is not reflected in CV, or if you write something in your CV that is not reflected in the interview, it will put a bad impression on you. So be honest, because you may be questioned about anything, like even a small course which you have mentioned in the CV. So it's a better practice to mention only those which you're confident or which you have done actually. That's it from my side.
Okay, that was very insightful. Thank you very much. Ashutosh, would you like to share your approach to it?
Yeah, so the approach pretty much remains the same. Like first of all, it starts from preparation of your CV. Yeah, as Kalyan and Anshuman told that just be thorough with your CV, because that's where the questions will begin to start from in a technical interview. And one more point that I'd like to add is that while you are having the interview process which is going on, just don't ignore the words of suppose you are being given a problem. First of all, don't jump to the solution part. Think about the problem and understand the problem clearly. If you have doubts, you can ask the interviewer. They won't cut any marks or any points for your non-prompt answer. The answer need not be prompt. It needs to be going towards the right direction. So you should always ask if you have any doubt or any clarification required. You should ask the interviewer, and they would be ready to help. And the second thing is, if you are going in a wrong direction, most probably 90% of the interviewers are not bad enough to not stop you. They will stop you and they will give you some hints. So try to catch on those hints. They might be very vague, but hints will be there, and try to catch up on the hints and build on that. Because one of the thing that technical interview sees, which like technical interviewers see that we don't know, is soft skills. So the soft skills is basically catching up to the hints that are thrown at you when you are wrong. So if you are being adamant in your interview and if you think that you are always right, that is not a right approach. And yeah, so if you're unlucky, you will be falling in the trap of the 10% who won't help you in the interview. That is kind of a luck factor. But yeah, it's almost happens that the interviewer is trying to help you in the interview. And while preparation for interview, people tend to over prepare sometimes. Just don't look unnatural while answering the questions which are related to your CV. Go through it, but don't mug it up. Just learn know what you have done and try to answer in your own way. Just don't mug it up in a way such that it comes out very unnaturally and the interviewer thinks that this is actually a copied project or something like that. Don't do that. That is a red flag actually in interview. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that was nice to hear.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Just adding 2 points. Just wanted to add
Sure,
two
sure.
more points here. Okay. So first thing is, yeah, for the HR questions, I'll have a suggestion. If you can get hold of a book called 64 HR Questions, okay. I believe some of you might be having it, or you can also get it from your seniors. That is a very helpful book. Contains some very popular HR questions that are being asked in interviews all around the world. That can help you prepare for the HR questions if you're not very comfortable with it, if you're a bit nervous with it, or YouTube also helps. One thing is that, and the second thing is, if just take care of this, that if your CG is very high, let's say 9.45, something like that, 9.5 types, uh, you can expect a question of why do you not want to go for higher studies and why do you want to come to this company? So then it becomes important to defend your answer very well. You should be prepared with a very clear cut, a very absolute answer of that why your decision is to join this company and not go for higher studies, because it might reflect from your profile that it's more aligned towards going for higher studies for masters or PhD. So be prepared with that answer if you see that your CGPA is too high. Yeah, that's it.
That was a really interesting addition. Thank you very much.
Okay, coming to the next question. So how is the selection process different for a BTech and dual degree student? Do they conduct different tests and round of selection? What is expected of a BTech candidate? Anshuman, please share your views on this.
So as far as I think, I probably don't think there is any difference. At least in the selection process, there is no difference. Okay, the BTech and the dual people, they go through the same test, the same GD, and the same interview as well. There is nothing of that sort. Uh, but yes, if you asked what interviewer be expecting from BTech candidate, then well, I can't really say actually, because uh, I only face the interview as a BTech student. I don't know the perspective of a dual student. I mean, Ashutosh and Kalyan are at a better position to maybe answer it based on what they've heard from their friends' experience as well, who have been in BTech. But yeah, I won't say that it's. But what I feel is that they don't expect anything less, maybe from a BTech student, because we have one year of less experience in college. I don't think that's the case. But yeah, I think Kalyan and Ashutosh are at a better position than me to answer this.
Okay,
If I were to, I would be see, if you see from the perspective of interviewer, he is hiring for a role and he is not hiring for a what do you say? You are 4 years or you're 5 years. It doesn't matter to him actually. He is hiring for a role. He will ask you questions which are related to the technical thing. And yeah, as we have discussed throughout this course of 30 minutes, they start from fundamentals. So BTech and a dual degree have same fundamentals. They don't differ in that much. And yeah, the only difference would be when a role opens. Like when you see in the CDC portal, then that a role is opening. There might be some roles which are only for masters, so they will only open for dual degree and not BTech. But it happens very rarely. Like out of 10 companies, maybe one company will be like that. And there is no need to worry about the interview process. They will be asking the same set of questions. They don't even know. I think they won't even see that you are BTech or dual degree. They'll just ask question related to the roles.
okay. Glenn, would you like to share something?
Yeah, as Ashutosh already mentioned, it will be roughly the same when it comes to core companies. There are few companies which will provide you beforehand the expectations from BTech and dual. They will expect the type of knowledge is expected from you, but most probably it will be the same for BTech and dual. It only differs from MTech and BTech plus dual.
Okay.
So MTech people will be exposed to a different set of jobs or roles because they have done masters. Sometimes dual degree people will fall into that intersection, uh, and sometimes dual degree people won't fall in that intersection and will be clubbed with the BTech people. But as far as opportunities are concerned, it's the one and the same.
Okay, great.
So moving ahead. So is a project or internship necessary to get a placement for core profile? Ashutosh, would you like to take this question first?
Okay, so the thing is, your projects and I think they have a very much weightage in the interview process. And why I say that is because an interviewer doesn't know you from the starting. So what he sees is your CV and the projects that you have done or an internship that you have done. So that is from where he can evaluate your how much you know. So if you just give him a CV containing what all you have studied, that might not be sufficient enough for him to ask questions. So to know that how you have done the work and how you have developed in the process of doing the work. This is where the projects and internships comes into the picture. So suppose you don't have a project or core internship, then or your project and internship don't go at all with the profile that you are applying for. So what happens there is they start asking questions from a domain which they know and that you might not know, and then there it puts a negative impact on your interview, as you are like fumbling to get the answer of the question, or you don't have clue how to go around solving the questions. So yeah, the project or the core internships really helps in the interviews.
Okay, that was nice. Kalyan, would you like to go next?
Yeah, thank you, Madhvi. Okay, so an internship or project will play a very efficient role in the core profile because, as already Ashutosh mentioned, that the interviewer would like to know your research approach also, because whatever he sees your CG or your courses done, it is just the academic knowledge. But when it comes to your internship or your project, it comes with how you're dealing the project. So that will put a mark on how you'll deal the same problem in industry. You may also be asked if you and always be ready with a brief description of your project. Don't go too long on explaining your project, just be brief about it, uh, so that he can ask the next question about your project. And second thing is that, just if you have too many projects, like I have seen few people mentioning your course projects also, I have seen few people mentioning your lab experiment also as a project. Please don't do that. Only mention those internships and projects which you have done for a long time and which you have a good command on. A single 1 week experiment or 2 weeks experiment would not give that much impact on your CV. And third thing is that, 1 minute. Yeah, third thing is that whenever the interviewer asks about the, uh, sorry, 1 minute. Yeah, Anshuman, please continue. I'll just take 1 minute. Sorry.
Sure, Kalyan. No, not a problem. Yeah, so my take on this would be that, yeah, actually internship and projects will definitely play a pretty key role. Okay, it's always better to have them on your CV. Basically, they are reflection of, as Ashutosh and Kalyan both mentioned, it's a reflection of your approach and uh, shows that you've applied your knowledge somewhere else, somewhere to do something more real, something in the real world. Okay. Aside from that, it also shows. It also gives a reflection of your work experience. Okay, it shows that, yeah, you have worked in a professional environment before, and you are slightly accustomed to an organization beforehand. That is also one of the reflection that it gives on the interviewer. And aside from that, having an internship and project is good, aside from your academic things, because you give the interviewer something to talk about. An interview is like, mostly it's kind of just a, if taken nicely, it's just a conversation between you and a stranger, okay, who is just asking about you, who just wants to know you better. So uh, if you have a few things to talk about, that that is always nice. The more you can talk to the interviewer, the more he or she can get to know you better. So that is how it also helps. And yeah, as Kalyan was mentioning about small experiments or those things, yeah, it's better if you don't include it. What you can maybe include is, like, some courses have term projects which last for the entire duration of the semester, and at the end maybe you have to give a presentation or something. Those things still can be good, actually, since you've worked on something for a pretty longer period, like 3-4 months, and you've come at an absolute result, a tangible result that you can show to someone. Those things still, I think, it's you can add them. Yeah, and yeah, try to try maybe that if you think your project is too theoretical, try to simplify a bit on your CV maybe. Otherwise, the interviewer may not even understand anything that you've written, and that may create some confusion. Okay, so yeah, just try to keep it simple on your CV. That is my final point.
That's nice. Thank you.
Madhvi, I would like to add one point. Yeah,
Sure.
what I forgot earlier was in core you will have multiple profiles. So you may have projects like as Anshuman mentioned, some term projects in your courses, especially if you're doing MTech related courses. So you'll have a spectrum of projects where few projects will only be useful or will only show your impact on a particular profile. So whenever interviewer asks about the projects in your interview, just mention those which are related to the job description or the profile. If he specifically asks about some project which is not related, then only you can go forward with it. But when he asks about do you have any project experience, just mention only those which are related to the job description or the profile. Or you can just mention that I have so and so project in so and so field which is not relevant to you. If you want, I can explain this way. Yeah, that's it from my side.
That was great. Thank you.
Okay, coming to our next question. Coding has become one of the most demanding and appreciated skills in engineer, but there is still a dilemma regarding its usage in the core profile. How much coding is required for core, especially for electrical and electronics profiles, and how to prepare for it? Anshuman, would you like to go first?
Yeah, so speaking from my perspective, from perspective of my department and profile, I don't think it's required at all. Okay, like if you ask me, I never did any CP or any coding during my entire 4 years at KGP. Okay, even then, even yeah, there were people saying कि भाई coding कर ले नहीं तो intern placement कुछ नहीं लगेगा. Yeah, I have had people like that, and it's not necessary. Trust me. Okay, but yeah, if you're preparing for core and you're also keeping a backup profile maybe, then you can go for it. It's really up to you. But yeah, in core, I don't think it's required in any way. At least in my case, definitely not. But yeah, basic तो अब I think everyone is slightly aware with the basics. You all do ये you all do PDS in your first year, so थोड़ा basics तो you all know, but still it's okay. Even if you don't do it religiously or you don't know it, it's fine.
Okay, that's great. Ashutosh, would you like to go next?
I guess this question is mainly for electrical and electronics, so Kalyan will say, but about mechanical and aerospace. In aerospace, though, they didn't ask for any coding thing. In JLR, I guess they asked for there was one round of like take a plus coding question in the the screening tests. So there there were like two questions, and we were supposed to, if we were answering a single question, then it was about they were taking you for interview. So the thing was, the first question of the coding was pretty much basic. There are two questions. So there is one question which is very basic coding question, which you have done probably in the first year itself. And the second question is kind of an advanced question. It has happened from the past 2 years, as much as I've kept track of. Yeah, so if you are preparing for companies like JLR, yeah, I think only JLR, they in mechanical, they only ask coding. The rest of the companies, they don't ask for any coding question in either interview or screening process. But yeah, so the electrical and electronics part, I guess Kalyan will be telling it.
Okay, Kalyan, would you like to share your views?
Yeah, actually, to my surprise, when I attended placements, I also was very low in coding. So I started just then. So I experienced that in all the tests, there are fairly good number of tests where they ask coding questions. Like roughly 60% of the core profiles have compulsory coding test round. I'm not sure about interview, but as part of the test, there will be coding round. but there are few where they only expect us to know basics of coding. When it comes to embedded related profiles, they want you to understand how the code works or how the register write is happening also. And when it comes to digital profiles, a few companies like Google expects Verilog coding or VHDL. They won't ask questions in they won't ask questions to write coding, but they may ask to analyze the code, know where some particular code is wrong, or which error will it generate. And there is a fair amount of companies where a good amount of coding is expected, where some benchmark problems or some standard problems will be provided, and you must code in C, C++, Python. I only knew C, so I just learned C++ basics then. I was able to write codes for most of them. So if you know C or C++, it would be enough for most of the coding grounds. But if you have Python handy, it would be also better. And Verilog or VHDL coding is required for few companies like Google and Samsung. They will expect, it's not about expectation, it is they will provide you a code and ask you to analyze it. Or they may even ask to code also, but I did not see any test where Verilog coding is asked. But you can see all the C, C++, Python coding in almost many of the exams. So you can start coding right then also, because I only did my coding in first year in PTS, and then I discontinued. And only just before placements, I just practiced all the standard problems. That's it. I didn't do any extra effort, but it's better to have some good knowledge, some hands-on experience in coding.
Okay, that was quite informative.
So now we are opening up the chat box. Audience, please feel free to post your unresolved queries in the chat box, and we will take up your questions from there.
Oh, I can't find the chat box option on my dialog box. Is it the case for everyone?
Yes, I'm also unable to see. It says
Okay.
that only members can access.
Okay, I will just check it once.
Okay, so I think there is no questions from the audience.
Oh, since the chat box is not available, you can maybe unmute them one by one as they raise their hands in case they have any questions.
I can see the chat box, and there is one question.
I shall read out the question. What is the difference between the expectations from the interviewer from a Btech student sitting for placements and a dual degree student sitting for the CDC intern or placement, especially in EC? So, what's the difference between the expectations from the interviewer?
Okay, as
Would
far
any of
as
the panelists? Okay, yes,
okay,
please continue.
thank you, Madhvi. Yeah, as far as electronics is considered, I don't think they see that much difference in BTech and dual degree, because by the time by your fourth year you would have the same fundamental experience as such of a dual degree. Maybe the dual degree person had done some extra courses, but the fundamental wise or knowledge wise both are the same. So
I guess
the
he is asking about dual degree who is sitting for intern thing, and
okay.
BTech who is sitting for placement. Yeah.
Yes, BTech student for placement and dual degree for CDC intern.
Okay, can you reframe the question again? I'm not able to get it.
What I can understand from the question is that dual degree student who is in his fourth year and
Yeah.
sitting for CDC internship, and
Okay.
BTech student who is in fourth year and sitting for placement. So, what is the level difference of the question that an interviewer will be asking? I think that's what he is
Yeah,
asking basically.
yes,
Okay.
yes, Ashutosh.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what
So,
is asking.
according to what I have seen and what I've understood from my friends and my placement process is that uh, e- uh, internship is a process where, like, the questionnaire of the internship will be totally different from the one for the interview of placement. And dual degree who's sitting for CDC internship will be asked the same level of question of the internship that a third year BTech student is being asked, and a fourth year BTech student will be asked the same question that a fifth year dual degree student is being asked. And the level of questions will be depending on how much work and what are the knowledge base that they are expecting, a company is expecting from from an intern and from a full time job application. Yeah, applicant.
Uh, yeah. Should I repeat the question once again, Kalyan?
Yeah, Karthik, it's fine. So, yeah, as Ashutosh already covered all the points.
Yes.
So when it comes to the internship, they'll have a separate set of questionnaire. Maybe based on your knowledge, they may go more deep when you're dual degree, but the questionnaire will remain the same.
Anshuman, would you like to add something?
Uh, Not a lot of things, but yeah, just that intern for internship and placement, the purpose of the interviews are totally different. That's for internship, is for a placement. So the interviewer is obviously in a different minds here. One place you're joining them as a permanent employee, and one place you're just joining them for a brief period of time for a project. So yeah, that's where probably the difference might arise. The rest, I think, Kalyan and Ashutosh have explained it pretty well.
Yeah, coming to the next question from Hare Krishna Agrawal. As per my experience, I was asked some OOPS push related concepts in Google hardware during intern interview. What can we expect in the placement interviews? Would any of the panelists like to take this question?
I would like to add a point. So I gave 3 rounds in Google. Uh, they will uh, they will initially ask about the topics which you are comfortable with or on in which you have knowledge about. If you don't know particular concepts, whether it can be anything related to coding or Verilog or anything, uh, they will skip the topic and they will go to a topic which you know. So you can expect only questions from which you know, and if you don't know, you can just say that I don't know much about this topic. Don't directly say it, just say that I don't have much experience in this topic, or you can just say I don't know about this. That would be fine. Is that clear, or shall I?
Uh, yeah, I think that's clear. Would any other panelists like to add something?
I mean, they're asking for Google hardware, so I don't think it's relevant to either mine or Ashutosh's profile.
Okay, coming to the next question from Abhishek Singh. He's saying, if I'm sitting for a mechatronics profile, does BTech or dual degree makes difference?
So mechatronics is basically an interdisciplinary thing. So the only difference that will be there is if you are a BTech and you are not well equipped with, suppose you are from electrical department and you are not well known with mechanical department courses or the vice versa, then you might have a lower edge as compared to a dual degree. But as such, there is no favoritism between the dual degree or a, okay, so you are from A department. So yeah, so if you are well known, so there are courses of control systems engineering which are taught in aerospace department, and also there are courses of mechanicals department which are taught. So as you can see, like in BTech, might be you would have taken lesser number of electives until, like, I think electives will be taken only in the last semester, the current ongoing semester that you are in. And the one who is in dual degree, if he is preparing for a such profile mechatronics, he might have taken more number of elective courses, and elective can be taken from the other department as well, so he might be having a knowledge base. But if you have read on your own and you are well versed with the technicalities, then I don't think it will make a lot of difference. The only difference is about the knowledge base that you can develop. And I personally think that in BTech you get lesser time, but if you are good enough and you have yeah, you have gathered the knowledge base for the mechatronics profile that is required, then it doesn't make a difference when you are sitting for the interview process.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Would any other panelists like to add something?
No, Karthik.
Uh, okay. If there are any other questions, please put them in the chat box. Okay, so I think there is not any other questions. Uh, one more question from Abhishek Singh. What kind of project Airbus work in India apart from testing?
I don't know why this is a wrong concept of that Airbus India only works for testing. There are a lot of projects that are like the real projects that are going on in Airbus, and it goes through, like, when you come into an aerospace industry, it's not about only making or manufacturing an aeroplane. It's from the conceptualization and the design and the modifications that are done to an aeroplane. So aeroplanes are there which are flying from 50 years and still being modified, and those design works and the analysis of the loads and redesigning the framework and putting a novel design altogether. There are a lot of things that are being done, and which Airbus India is also a part of. So I don't know why there is this wrong concept of only testing goes on in Airbus India. And as far as projects, which projects are there specifically, then maybe you have to ping me and I might disclose, but it is not advisable for me to disclose about the projects that are ongoing.
Are there any other questions? I think there are no more questions. So
Yes,
moving
we can
forward,
move ahead.
so as we move to the end of the discussion, panelists, would you like to give any funda for placement Janta? Ashutosh, would you like to begin?
I think over 1 hour is passed and we are giving funda only. So apart from whatever you have said until now, there is, like, I think one thing to keep in mind when you are having an interview and an interviewer asks you that, do you have any question regarding do you have any question regarding anything? Then just don't say that I have no question and I'm done with it. I would say that before you go into an interview, prepare some 2 or 3 questions which you can ask for an interviewer if he provides you a chance to ask him some question, and those questions can be related to the knowledge base that you require to work in the company, the time, how can you spend the time knowing more about the things that are done, or even you can ask the interviewer about his or her experience through the company or his greatest achievement. So what happens is this kind of question would show an interest, genuine interest that that you have for the company, and this actually adds a little bit of more favoritism towards you for selection process. So they would have a positive outlook for you when they end the interview. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, CDC process has a luck factor. We can't deny, we all of us can't deny that fact. So don't get disheartened for a company that you are trying so hard for, and by any, like, god forbid, and you are not selected by any chance. So don't get disheartened, as we all will come out of this with a placement. Maybe not in our company that we would like to have at first, but yeah, everyone will get placed, that is there. You just have to give your 200% to the CDC process, and yeah, don't get disheartened if you are not able to clear any interview or something. Just take it one interview at a time as it comes, and don't overthink about any of the failures, because you might not even know that what happened, what went wrong, and if you just start thinking about it, you'll be losing your time, your essential time, and also your confidence. So it's very much necessary to be in a positive mindset until the end. Whenever whenever you get placed, that is your end of your interview process. So yeah, that's it. That's all I would like to say.
Okay, that was quite helpful. Anshuman, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. So, just final words, may I'll say that be mentally prepared for it. That's all. I mean, because there will be a lot of things happening simultaneously. Okay, you might get rejected in places where you were expecting you wouldn't be. Okay, and yeah, rejections can definitely happen. But yeah, obviously, everyone wants to get placed early as soon as possible. And but yeah, if at all those things happen, you have to be prepared for it, because because there won't be much time for you to sit back and reflect on things that went wrong before the next thing starts. Okay, so yeah, be mentally prepared for that phase, and don't ever hesitate to ask people for help. Okay, people, juniors, seniors, your own batchmates, and obviously you stay close to your friends. Okay, during this process. Many of them might be going through the same thing. Many of them might be in dual, and they've just gone through the internship process themselves, and everyone is there to help you. Okay, usually in these, everyone knows the placement times are I mean tough for people, so no one was going to hesitate in helping you out. So don't never hesitate in approaching people and asking directly for help. I mean, also, I haven't experienced the offline process, but from what I've heard and seen, people, uh, process in Nalanda takes quite a while. Sometimes you come there in the morning, you sit all through till the night without any rest, and you haven't slept the night before as well. So those things happen. So yeah, just uh, yeah, make sure that you are prepared for that phase. Make sure that you condition yourself for that phase. That's it.
Okay, that's great. Clear, would you like to add something?
Yeah, as already Anshuman and Astos expected, I would like to just go with the brief points. First point is collect all the resources required. I have heard that I also did not go through the offline process, but in offline process, it is necessary to have your CV hard copy with you always. So please keep all those resources required. Like you may have to stay in Nalanda for more than a day, so keep some resources for food or something. And second thing, always be calm and confident. You know your strength and you will crack it. You just need to be confident. And 3, always be consistent. So with the test piling up, you will have multiple tests in a week. Just don't get depressed or excited after cracking one test, because there are multiple tests in the way. And finally, yeah and finally, just keep communicating with everyone. Like the main thing with placements or internships is that you need to communicate with placement community properly. Because if you're writing a test, let us say if you're writing a test in Takshashila and your computer stuck, so you need to immediately report that, so that they'll reset your timer and you can write the test again. So keep communicating with your friends for help, and also placement committee for regarding the proceedings. Yeah, overall that's it.
That's great. Coming to the conclusion of the seminar, first we would like to thank our panelists, Kalyan, Anshuman, and Ashutosh, for sparing their precious time and sharing all the valuable insights and experiences with us today. Now, a word of gratitude to the audience for being so pleasant and active throughout the seminar. We sincerely appreciate your attention today. We hope the seminar proves helpful to all of you.
I guess Hare Krishna Agrawal has asked that can you please provide your favorable medium
Uh,
or
yeah,
LinkedIn? Yeah, so LinkedIn or Messenger works for me. Yeah.
Yeah, Messenger is just fine. Just find my name on Facebook and ping. Should be okay.
Yeah, Facebook or WhatsApp, anything is fine.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is the end of our session. You are all free to disperse. Just a small announcement before that. Tomorrow we will be focusing on the finance profile. So Janta, let's meet again tomorrow to get some fun day on the finance profile. Till then, thank you very much and see you all.
I saw Minal Gupta raising hand. Uh, okay, cool.
no, thank I, that's by mistake.
Okay, fine. Yeah, so all the best to everyone who is like everyone who is here. And prepare well for interviews and the test. And yeah, always remember one thing, that stay like drink a lot of water. It's gonna be daunting, so drink a lot of water.
Thank you,
All the
Kalyan.
best, Janta.
All the best, guys. And yeah, don't hesitate to reach out anytime. Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.